Hey, my name's Adam Davis, and I want to share a little bit about my testimony and what God has done in my life through tremendous pain and where I am today. Today, I'm an author. I've written 9 books, but that's not where my story started. It started as a little boy. Parents divorced, which is not uncommon, and then I was left with a neighbor where I was raped and introduced to pornography as a young kid. Sodomized, and then again as a teenager from within the church, and dealing with types of spiritual abuse and manipulation, things of which I did not really know were happening at the time. And then just a few short years later, I got married. So I told my wife about this before we got married, but neither of us really knew just how jacked up I was. Something that nobody really knew was from the time I was a little boy all the way through, I'd been contemplating, man, this is the fear, the guilt, the shame, and thoughts of maybe I should have never been born, because nobody should have to deal with the kind of things that I had experienced. And I think one of the things the enemy wanted to entrap me with was thinking that I was the only one that had ever experienced any of this, which from childhood sexual abuse to ideas of ending my life or worthlessness or not feeling good enough or fear or guilt or shame. And so in 2000, I guess late 2003, early 2004, right before our very first child was coming into our life, I knew that there was something rotten in me. And I wanted more than anything to be a good daddy. And I knew that I couldn't be a good daddy with what I had inside of me. And what I had was pure hate. Pure hate for people who had hurt me, pure hate for people who had manipulated me. And so I began this process of forgiveness, in which I believe that forgiveness is the very first step in a journey of healing, especially from junk like this. And it took a long time, just to change the way I felt. For me, forgiveness was an act of obedience to my Father who had redeemed me, and it was an act of obedience that I took in faith, meaning I knew I would not feel any different, but I was going to do it anyway because I want to honor Him. And so we rocked on for a little while, and life happens. We've got, two beautiful kids. We got, oldest son, our daughter, and then our youngest came along. And then in the fall of 2009, I raised my right hand and took an oath to serve in law enforcement. I'd never talked to anyone professionally about what I had gone through. I didn't leave law enforcement because I couldn't hack it or because I wasn't strong enough. It's a different story for a different day. But I started drinking. I remember coming home one day and I took off my gear, I took off my uniform, and I sat down in the recliner and I faced the TV, and the TV was blank. It wasn't on, nothing on it. And my wife was at the sink on a kitchen island. She was washing something. I can still hear the water going, and I heard her turn it off, and she said in the sweetest voice, "Hey babe, how was your day?" And I responded with one word: fine. I'd had a bad day. I'd had a hard day. And I didn't want to live through it again. And if I talked to her about it, that meant I had to live through it again. And that turned into an argument. And I packed my stuff up and left and went and stayed in a little portable building. And for us to be separated crushed me. It hurt so bad. It didn't even hurt because, I know that I don't deserve that. I know that I don't deserve that type of love and that type of person in my life. That's how I felt at the time. But on a Sunday morning, while everybody else was at church, and I knew this was the day, I put on my uniform, I got in my car, I went and worked a little overtime gig, and I pulled my car into the parking lot of a abandoned gas station on the south side of town. Nobody knew. And pulled out my sidearm and sat on my leg, and I paused. And in that pause, I believe, was the greatest miracle that happened in my life. If he never restored my marriage, if he never healed me from inside, from all the stuff that happened, in this moment, in a pause, I called on the name of God and I said, I don't know if you can hear me, I don't know where you're at, but if you have a purpose for me and you can use me, you can have my life, otherwise I'm done. I'm tired of hurting, I'm tired of fighting, I'm tired of feeling defeated. And in that moment of simple surrender, a perfect peace entered that patrol car, a perfect love embraced me. And I've hugged my wife and my kids and friends and family and some of y'all, but nothing compared to what embraced me in a patrol car. And that's the only way I know how to put it. I can't put it into words any other way. I'm not trying to embellish it, but it was absolutely perfect. And it became my mission from that day. Like, I literally wanted to say, I've got to leave where I'm at and take what I just felt and take it and make sure everybody else can feel this, because this will change your life. And God did save my marriage. Most of all, he redeemed me, and he gave me a will to live again. And he gave me a purpose, and he gave me a little bit of a different assignment. I left law enforcement in 2015. And I want you to know that I was at the end of my rope. I became a master at putting on a mask and suppressing and putting on a show. And I could look you dead in the face, sit in a church pew, sit in or whatever, and I could pretend that I was all good. And I wasn't. But he is always, always, always faithful. And his love covers a multitude of sins. But not only the sins, but he took all that mess and did something beautiful with it. And I give him the glory for my wife and for my children. I give him the glory for the calling and the purpose on my life. And I give him the glory that today we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb. And I just punch the enemy square in the mouth by sharing my testimony, because it is the name of Jesus that redeemed me and sets my path straight through everything. You are not useless. You are not done. You are not over. And this is not the end of your story. Live unconquered.